TorahCafe.com.
Please welcome the Rabbi of London's Mill Hill Synagogue, Chairman of the Rabbinical Council of the United Synagogue, and frequent panelist on BBC, Rabbi Yitzchak Schochet.
About 3 hours ago, I suddenly realized I'd forgotten the tail end of my talk. About 2 hours ago, half of it was already gone from my mind, and in the last hour, I went a complete blank. It is 3 o'clock in the morning for me right now, so bear with me. But let me ask you this. Have you ever heard the expression, nice guys finish last? What on earth does that actually mean? I contemplated this for the first time a number of months ago when I was asked to participate in a community fun run, which necessitated me having to run 1 kilometer in order to raise funds for charity. The so-called fun part was that I was going to be running alongside 11 other rabbis. Now, I must have missed the fine print because when I turned up on the day, it turns out I wasn't just running alongside 11 other rabbis, but we were, in fact, going to be tied together at the ankle. Now, to be sure, I'm not especially crazy about rabbis, present company excluded. When I turn up at a bar mitzvah or at a wedding, I sometimes dare to ask not to be sad at the rabbi's table. Let's face it, sometimes they can be boring. So the idea of running an intimate kilometer tied to them was indeed daunting. And in the circumstance, to a very patient and cheering crowd, we did in fact come in last. But then I wonder something altogether different about the whole motivation of running a marathon. Why do people run these races knowing as they do that the overwhelming majority are in fact going to come in near last place? Every single year, some 35,000 people line up to run a 26 grueling kilometers, whether on the streets of London, New York, or Boston. Only one of them is going to come out in front. So why do all the others bother knowing that they're not going to come in the first 10, not even in the first 1,000? Kind of reminded of the story, true story, in London where a guy was in fact running in last place and the guy in front of him turned around tauntingly, so what does it feel like coming last? Quite humiliating, isn't it? Several kilometers later, so what does it feel like coming in last? Quite humiliating, isn't it? And as they're coming in for the final stretch on that last kilometer, so it's humiliating, isn't it? What does it feel like coming in last? And the guy had enough. He said, "You're about to find out," and immediately dropped out of the race. To be sure, completing a marathon is hardly a walk in the park. All the runners, even those who finish in last place, prepare for a grueling many months, if not years, of all kinds of fitness training to prepare them for the big day. The end goal is obviously that sense of satisfaction, the compelling feeling of confronting a challenge and accomplishing it. You see, winning, by definition, doesn't necessarily mean finishing first. Often it just means finishing. For many, just completing the marathon is in itself a badge of courage or pride, even as they have no need for the external trophy. What is key is being in the race and staying in the race, going at your own pace, knowing that you're giving it your all until you cross that finish line. And so in the marathon of Jewish life, sometimes the hurdles are overwhelming. Sometimes the course itself seems so windy. The race itself is seemingly endless, and it can get us down. When reflecting on the struggles of life or the chore of the daily grind, or sometimes just being aware of our own areas of frailty and vulnerability, we can feel fatigued, and sometimes we just want to give up running. And it is in those circumstances that no one can deny it takes a certain kind of energy to summon the strength in order to be able to simply embark on a new lap. But consider this. It was always believed that no one could run a mile in under 4 minutes, until in 1954, one Roger Bannister was able to do so. And subsequently, in that same year, 4 others did the same. What changed? Was it something in the air? Or was it obviously a psychological barrier which, once accomplished, enabled others to go on and achieve the same as well? You see, there are all kinds of barriers in our lives, but how many of them are real and how many of them are of our own making? We are good. In fact, we're great at becoming consumed with our own weaknesses and convincing ourselves that we're not going to be able to complete the task ahead. There are those days when you may feel in a slump and life is passing you by. Those days when no one returns your phone call, when you don't get your emails responded to, or someone nearby is being mean-spirited, and you just simply in the process feel at that time that you are at the bottom of the heap. But even as you falter part way through, you can still be a winner, because to be frank, in life, you're not necessarily obligated to finish. You're obligated to keep trying, to literally do the best you can every single day. In fact, you're already a winner when you turn up at the start line, because frankly, you will have done what many others may have failed to do. You showed up. But even more so, giving up is the single most selfish thing that you can do, because beyond what is happening to you, have you considered what kind of difference you're still making or what you can make to others? So somebody didn't smile at you today, but why should you deny someone else who's feeling low and may crave that smile? Today you didn't get your hug, but why shouldn't you give that hug to somebody else who is in need of that sort of attention right now? Maybe it is a spouse who craves your attention, or a child who right now needs your love. So don't be selfish. Don't let what's happening to you define how you happen to others. You see, there's always a purpose and a determination that lies at the core of our inner being that we manage to release when having to compete in the marathon of life. It grants us the strength to face any challenge and the determination to keep us in the race when otherwise all might seem lost. Sometimes in life, you don't always feel like a winner, but that isn't to say that you're not a winner. The important thing is that you want to be in the game. What is key is to remember life is all about participating, not spectating. So yes, there is a long track ahead of you with lots of twists and lots of turns. There are hurdles and whatever obstacles. That's the reality, and that is the nature of Jewish life. Your job from here on in is plain and simple. Just stay the course. Remember, in whatever you do, if you have given it your all, then you will not have lost. Many people recall either winning or losing, but all that you really need to ever recall is the journey itself. Remember, the single most important thing is to genuinely know within your heart that you applied yourself. Because a true champion is not motivated by just the winning itself. A true champion is motivated beyond the winning. A true champion is motivated by the realization that the task ahead of you is never greater than the strength that lies within you. So remember, you were born to run. Maybe not that fast, maybe not that far, maybe not even as efficiently as others, but to get up and move, to fire up that entire energy-producing, oxygen-delivering, adrenaline-pumping, soul-strengthening process that we call life. It may hurt. It may take time. It will require dedication. It will necessitate all kinds of willpower. It will require sacrifice. There will be temptation, but I promise you this, when you reach your goal, it will have all been worth it. So remember, today, no better than at any other time, is the very day in which you have to breathe in and summon that second wind. Feel the energy that flows through you as a proud Jew. Run your laps. Get involved in new spiritual undertakings and go for gold. You may be chugging along in last place. The wind is blowing in your face. Nothing is important. Everything is important. You're coming in last, but you're still in the race. You might be in last place, but you take heart because nice guys finish last. Thank you.